Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 282nd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I am your host Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call this evening we have Andy Patterson, Donny Baseball and Dave the Hater Lowback. We're back with a bang, everybody, back with a vengeance. Hopefully you didn't miss us too much last week. Plenty to get through though. We shall cover a few of the fights. Andy was reminding me there off air actually about some of the fights, the fight cards from last week that I had neglected to see. I know that Ramirez was supposed to fight O'Connor, but we had a few dehydration issues, unfortunately, so that didn't take place. Regis Prograis, who we were expecting to go into the World Boxing Super Series soon, got a good win against Velasco last night. We will be discussing that a little bit later on. Also, the Tyrone Zeuge against Rocky Fielding fight, and the big ones for next week, Smith Munguia, and of course, the cruiserweight final of the World Boxing Super Series between Alexander Usyk and Murat Gassiev. Let's get on with the main stuff from this weekend, though. We'll go to you first, Donny. Lucas Matthysse against Manny Pacquiao. We had a message in, actually, from our friend Hattem. I shall ramble on while I bring it up on my phone. I think he was having a go at you, actually, Donny. I don't know whether you're a big Matthysse fan or a fan of one-dimensional punchers in general, but Hattem was calling you out anyway. Let's have a look. Right, I've got it in front of me, Donny. Would have messaged you last night, says Hattem, but was too busy partying yet again. Your puncher, Matthysse, fails to... again, against a more skilled fighter. Hashtag flat track. Hashtag punch no skills. Hashtag who's the idiot? Who's the idiot, Donny? Is it you?
Well, yeah, you might be familiar. I think Andy definitely is familiar. Yeah, a long time ago, he said that Matthysse had no skills, and he said, "How do you determine whether someone's a puncher or a no-skilled puncher like Matthysse or something?" And I went off on him on a podcast from about 4.5 years ago, and apparently he hasn't forgotten about it. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, is that Matthysse is clearly a broken fighter, and you could see that because I gave him a pass once with the eye thing. I thought maybe that was, a legitimate problem, but when he spit out the mouthpiece last night, I mean, this new Quitisse version of Matthysse clearly isn't the guy that he was 4.5 years ago going into that fight with Danny Garcia. I think he's pretty damaged goods now. So I guess I was the idiot because I certainly didn't see that coming. But that being said, I mean, I think he gave as good as he could give, as much of himself as he can give, considering this sort of diminished state that he's in. He made Pacquiao look like he has a whole lot left in him. But I mean, Pac, he was, he looked really good, but this was an easy person for him to look good against. But you could see that he still has the speed, which is always his weapon, and that's pretty amazing at age 40. I'm torn. Part of me wonders, could he still, if he had full training camps, mix it up with maybe some of the better fighters in the division at least one more time? Maybe, but the thing is, he wouldn't be getting the full camps because he's a full-time senator in the Philippines, and he wouldn't be fighting regularly. And I think for him to come back as a one-off and try to contend with those top names, I don't think it would work out well for him. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Some people talking about Amir Khan potentially, because I guess Pacquiao has expressed some interest in fighting in the UK. I think that would be interesting. Because they're both essentially kind of part-time fighters sometimes, I guess, with Khan recently coming back and only fighting about 90 seconds. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But, it's a fight from which you can't take a lot of information. It doesn't tell us a lot about where Pacquiao is. And I had already gone into this fight thinking Matthysse was pretty shot. So I don't think I learned a whole lot from it.
I learned a few things here and there. I liked Chris Algieri on the mic. I think he did a really good job. A lot of articulate, well-informed analysis. The crowd were doing my head in a little bit, to be honest. Every time Pacquiao farted, they just started going into raptures. But it was a good job on the commentary feed that I watched overall. And the lady who did the interviews in the ring afterwards was really, really good. Professional job. Did pretty well. A few takeaways, Andy. I must agree. I don't know if I agree or disagree with Donny, to be honest, but I've never really been a big Matthysse fan. I picked Danny Garcia to beat him back in the day. He had this reputation as an Argentine brawler. He was this big puncher, which translates into a fan's favourite. But I don't think he was a great fighter against the better world-class boxers. He generally speaking gets found out, and he's proven again to be one-dimensional. I've no interest in Matthysse going forward at all, to be honest. I thought he was getting outboxed by Teo Kiram before Kiram took a dive. Am I being harsh, Andy?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you look at it, the Mike Dallas and the Lamont Peterson knockouts were what really kind of catapulted them into the kind of mainstream. Obviously, they had that kind of that robbery defeat against Devin Alexander. I remember that one quite clearly. But obviously the Garcia fight was tough on him, and in the end, even before this fight, he was retired for a long time. I think, if I remember rightly, was no an eye injury or was it an orbital injury I think he had in the past. I forget what fight it was. It might have been
Postal fight, wasn't it? When he quit,
yeah. He might have quit in that fight, but last night he proved he had nothing left. As for Pacquiao, actually, at 39, he probably looked as good as what he's ever going to look at that age. Actually, so I suppose he looked quick. He was quick on his feet. The hand speed isn't what it is. He was just looking to kind of get into distance and kind of let the left hand go. It's just like how it used to be when he was coming up. He was always kind of left hand happy, but he was making the right hand. The right hook count at times. And in the end, I said earlier on there as well, as when Matthysse landed the low blow, and I think it was the 6. It was like a kind of vintage Pacquiao. He just kind of came out real nasty, wanting to kind of like go for a kill and just kind of laid it on me, Matthysse. I don't know what happened with the second knockdown. I don't know if you guys actually even looked at it. I looked at it about 2 or 3 times, and it looked like that he'd been caught with a kind of downward right hand.
I don't know, Andy. It was such a tap, wasn't it? It was a real strange one.
But it was like, if you maybe go back maybe 5-10 seconds before he actually takes his knee, it looks like Pacquiao actually lands a kind of right hand kind of in a downward trajectory before he then. It looked like afterwards it was like kind of 3 kind of punches that didn't land, I don't think, and then he kind of took the knee. But so I don't know if it was maybe like an existing eye injury or the orbital bone was damaged or whatever. I really don't know. But in the end, they say what it was. He's a washed fighter. At this point, Pacquiao he's one of these guys. I think he's going to have to be beaten out the sport badly. You worry about him at this point. I mean, he's been a pro since he was 15. He's 39 now. If you read some of the stories, I mean, I've speak to Jonathan Butler quite often. You've had him on the podcast. He's witnessed Pacquiao spar numerous times, and it's no like say technical sparring. It's full on blood warfare. So you just wonder what the accumulation of damage he's picked up. He still continues to fight. I don't know if he can damage his legacy. I think his legacy is actually cemented as one of the greatest of all time, but it's just like, what's he going to be left with afterwards? They're still talking about he's still in debt. People are calling him out. There's Jeff Horn called him out today. So there's people lining up to fight him. Just want to pick that carcass. And it's just, again, as I says, he's just going to keep going. He's going to keep taking the paydays to pay the tax off, keep himself, pay for his political aspirations, whatever it's going to be. We've been over this before. At some point, boxing's going to collect on him at some point, and it's people are going to say he's going to duck the likes of Crawford and maybe, I don't know, Spence, guys like that, Thurman. I suppose at this point in his career, he could maybe be excused for ducking those type of fights. But at the same time, as well, as if you're going to be holding titles and stuff like that, you're going to have to fight these guys at some point.
Thing is, though, Andy, as well, regarding Crawford and Lomachenko, I mean, Pacquiao looked good last night, but he split with Bob Arum from what I understand now. So are those fights now unrealistic? Because we heard a lot in the build-up about, is this fight going to take place, or the money's not been put through? From my understanding, there were a few malicious rumours being pumped out into the press. The Bob Arum pro press, not easy to say, Kevin Ioli, Steve Kim were putting around the rumours on their podcast that the money hadn't gone through, and I believe that was filtering through from Bob. Now, Bob appears to have split completely with Manny now, and Michael Conce as well, Freddie Roach as well. Manny seems to be doing it all on his own. So how realistic, under those new circumstances, is a Crawford fight and a Loma fight, considering Bob, the old elephant himself, he doesn't forget?
Yeah, we did hear rumours, well, I don't know how true they are, that there's the reason for the split between Pacquiao and Arum. I hope it's not true. Like if he's been rinsed of his cash, that's just fucking, it's not on. Just as you talk about, like all these people that they're no longer in his corner. I did notice that it was, what an entourage he brought down that ring there last night. People was, as I mentioned, maybe sleep at the bottom of his bed. But I did
Is
notice.
Boo Boy still there?
Boo Boy was still there. I think he was his main trainer, but I noticed Gibbons was there in the corner last night.
Yeah, I saw him running in at the end. I was going to say that, yeah.
He's there to offer the celebratory Coke after the knockout.
Yeah. But I really do. I mean, he's obviously he's going to have team Pacquiao. I think that was under his own promotion last night. It was Patty's promotion. I dare say he's got staff working for him. Patty's political campaigns. I dare say they have some sort of people to be able to run it for him. But it is a bit of worry actually if you need to try and get that cash, that payday put in escrow for you to make sure that money's actually there for the fight to get made. It was quite a big fight card actually, for what I understand there last night as well. So just wondering how much was actually getting paid to the fighters and if they actually got paid as well at the same time.
Well, hopefully so. I know the Malaysian royal family or something were involved in the Malaysian government, so assuming they will get paid. I don't know. Shout out to everybody in the chat. A couple of the usual faces are there. One of our friends, AA, says that MATTHYSSE'S arse fell out. I think that he's just looking paydays now, to be honest. Another loss for the Golden Boy stable as well. Dave, Pacquiao, he's on a bit of a world tour now, isn't he? Avoiding the tax man, but he still seems to have a bit left in the tank. I mean, this is his first KO since 2009. Pac is back, he could say. Talking about his corner, actually, Dave, you were asking about Bubby Fernandez there. Justin Fortune was in his corner. I know that Justin is a guy who's been doing a lot of work with Freddie Roach on the west coast of America. He's a fitness trainer now, big Aussie former heavyweight back in the day, fought Lennox Lewis in Dublin. And he was there, and there was a couple of other guys as well. Pacquiao, he's pretty much trying to keep the corner team to a premium, I think, low-paid guys, so he can cash in himself. But Andy's right, there was a hell of an entourage. What do you think? What's next, Dave? We're looking at crossing the divide, as it will be, against the likes of Crawford, Lomachenko. Is Pacquiao just trying to pick off these B-level, lower-tier names so he can... Do you think he'll go back to America? So many questions, Dave, so many questions.
No, I don't think he'll come back to America, as you said, to avoid the tax man. At least not for a little while.
He's got property in America, and that is, plus sports cars and that, so they'll fucking nick that off him.
Maybe he's lost it all by now. In his crib that he showed on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or whatever the hell it was. How about in the UK, Amir Khan? That fight was discussed years ago. They're old sparring partners. Their sparring sessions are said to be action-packed and legendary. I think we should see that fight. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I mean, but man, he's basically shot. Khan's not very relevant. But I mean, and when I say shot, I mean he's still a really, really good fighter. He's just not the man he was, and he can't be at age 39. And Khan is not really relevant, so it's not a huge win. But it would be fun while it lasted. I would pick Pacquiao to beat him, but Khan's size could be a big factor in that fight because man, he's a tiny guy, and I know the sparring sessions were very competitive. Roach always said so.
Donny, obviously Pacquiao turned pro many years ago. Remember the early Raw version that came with Murad Mohammed over to America, fought the likes of Lelo Ledwaba. That was his breakthrough. Agapito Sanchez, I remember that Feld Fest affair for the IBF. What would it be? Super flyweight title or something like that. He certainly refined his style under Freddie Roach. But do you like this new Pacquiao style, Donny? The right hook was working really well and the left uppercut as well because MATTHYSSE'S was being moved on to it throughout. But Pacquiao, he's such a clever fighter. He's planting his feet more. He obviously knows at nearly 40 he can't move as much, but his judgment of distance, range, and his accurate southpaw jab, it just shows a guy who's honed his craft over the years, and maybe there is a little bit more mileage with a more calculated, conservative version of Pacquiao. Would you be happy to see that, Donna?
Happy to see what, Steve?
This more calculated, conservative version of Pacquiao, maybe adding a bit more longevity to his career?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's fighting in a way that not that sort of like come forward left hook happy style that he had when he first came over, and I mean, Roach worked with him over the years to make him a more complete fighter, I mean, he's keeping fighters at a distance, and he's not maybe taking as many risks, offensive risks in the ring as he used to, maybe even during his prime. But that's the fight that he needs to fight at this stage of his career, and that makes sense. If he's trying to squeeze out a few more paydays, obviously he's not going to fight in that same sort of balls to the wall manner that he did in the peak of his prime. But that's okay. I mean, fighters go through different evolutions. I mean, early in his career, Bernard Hopkins just knocked people out, right? But like by the end of his career, it was a very defense-first style that, he had to employ, slowing down the pace and things in order to actually take points wins off of these, younger, more aggressive fighters. And so oftentimes fighters' styles do evolve and change over the course of their career, and it makes sense because this is what will suit him going forward if he still chooses to continue boxing.
I see Mark Pritchard in the chat talking about Khan and Pacquiao fight and pay-per-view not being pay-per-view. If Khan fights Pacquiao over in the UK, it's 100% nailed on. It'll be pay-per-view.
Yes. Oh, of course it is.
They're not going to miss that opportunity.
Well, this was going to say, I mean, what's happening with Kell Brook? I mean, there's rumours going about that he's off this pay-per-view card of the White Parker thing. You know, is he kind of, you know, is he wavering? Is he trying to, he's pulling off that card? Does he know that he's fighting Khan next? Or does,
he's been to Tenerife and got stabbed in the ass again.
Or does Pacquiao get that fight and fight Khan? I mean,
I think Brook's being pulled over to America for this DAZN thing, isn't he?
Well, Eddie Hearn needs pay-per-view dates. I'm sure he does. And this is one of them. It's going to be. Pacquiao Khan would fit the bill. You know, Khan got one fight left with him, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Khan against Pacquiao, I think, would be nailed on. He'd be happy to come to the UK. Eddie would stick it on pay-per-view. I think it makes sense for all parties involved.
Absolutely.
Andy, I didn't see anything in the undercard myself. I don't know what you saw. On paper, it wasn't bad, actually. There were world title fights involved. Jack Tapora, 21-0, knocking out Edivaldo Ortega. And Maruti Mathalani, he's a South African, got a win against Mohamed Wazeem, who's an 8-0 fighter. A few people interested in him. And what about this, fighting for a world title then at light flyweight? 1-0, Bin Lu. Stick him in the bin because he got knocked out in the last round by 20-0, Carlos Canizales. How can you put a 20-0 guy in against a 1-0 guy? I mean, I know it is light flyweight and everything, but I mean, what do they know that we don't? Big amateur background, maybe?
I don't know, mate. I think he maybe fought in the Olympics, that boy, but I'm not really up in his Olympic, his amateur career. The only fight I saw on the card, I've got a copy of the Wazeem fight. I've not seen it yet. I actually watched the Tapora against Ortega fight. He did really look good, that Tapora guy. So definitely want to watch. Okay, it's an interim title, but you know, we always say that featherweight's probably, you know, one of the more kind of stacked divisions. So you know, again, we've mentioned Russell, Cruz, Frampton, Warrington, I think Valdez, Magzayo. I knew this guy as well. He does look the business quite aggressive as well. So definitely want to watch this guy.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on Mr. Bin. Let's get moving over to a few of the other fights of interest. I was hoping Tommy might come on tonight, actually. I know he's a big Pacquiao fan. No word from him. Nothing from Rapping Rob Kelly or Ozzy. I know Ozzy got some betting, some tips up on the weekend. I think Zeuge fielding and bits and pieces. Any word from the boys, Andy? We're going to have any more bods jumping on, do you think?
Nah, mate. I think they're all just kind of... I think they're still struggling after England got knocked out the World Cup. I think it was absolutely... taking it out the boys. Apart from Rob's obviously kind of celebrating that, and part of the fact that it's his 40th birthday as well, you know. So,
Andy, didn't you say you were gonna sing "God Save the Queen" after the UK won one of those games?
No.
UK won one of those games.
No, I can't remember that one, mate.
I think it was if they won the World Cup as a whole. Have you been watching the FIFA Soccer Ball Championship, Donny?
No, if it was that they beat Colombia, which they did. So I still think he owes it to us.
What about America, Donny? They did well. They didn't lose a single game in this World Cup.
Neither did Scotland.
Neither did Scotland.
Right, let's get back to the boxing before the chat go into open revolt. What do you think? I'll give you the choice, Andy. Shall we start on the Prograis card or should we go on the Fielding Zeuge card?
It's whatever, mate. Well, I've only seen Zeuge Fielding on the German card anyway.
All right, okay, we'll go to that one then, shall we? Fair play to old Rocky from Stocky. He got the win. They're going on about world titles. I'm not sure whether it's a world title. To be honest with you, I think it was a glorified European title fight. This wasn't it in you know anything else other than name. George Groves is the proper champion. It's just because the WBA have all these belts. It was a European level fight, really, Andy. I thought. Yeah,
that's what it was, mate. It's just basically the person who is the number one contender to Groves' title. You know. We've discussed the title situation with WBA for years now. It's just, you know, the promise to kind of reduce it. They're not doing it. So really, I think at the end of the day as well is the most, or so I'll say the best thing to come out of that last night was Smigger Smig. He was fucking raging. It was beautiful. Just seeing him sitting there with that fucking jacket he had on. Actually, it was horrendous anyway. But no, it was. If I was ideal how this was going to work out, actually, Rocky would actually then fight Groves because I want to I want to see Groves knock out Smith, and then Fielding get a big money fight and fight George Groves, and then he can fight for the real title basically. But who knows? I mean, fair play to the guy. He went into the. Well, it was not so much the Lions Den actually. It was a stupid place to hold the fight actually, right on the border between France. But he goes in there, makes it a kind of a phone box fight, and they mentioned the heat in the arena there last night. I just think the power of Fielding just, Zeuge felt it kind of early, and he just couldn't recover from it. Maybe, and then coupled with the fact that it was warm in there, that he just couldn't really get a breath under him.
Didn't look in shape, did he, or something? Like you said, like his lungs were popped or something.
He didn't. I just don't think he could cope with the pressure, mate. And Rocky has got power, I suppose. I think the title situation I'm going to say is it's no real world title, because we've been through this before. I remember like Carl Frampton went on about Scott Quigg holding the real title, and then when they unified it and that, I was happy to parade it, all that sort of stuff. I've seen it before. I've seen the cruiserweight Lebedev, we've seen it light heavyweight and that, as well as, as you say, Steve, it was a good European win there last night. No, it's not a world title, but it certainly puts himself in contention for big money fights, I suppose, and they can trade off it, how legitimate it is, but it doesn't really matter. They're going to trade off that as a world title, and fair play to the guy. Let him get a couple of paydays and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, we all know who the real champion is, and it is George Groves.
Dave, I know you're in Germany at the moment. You were trying to hot-foot it over to the Baden Arena in Offenburg as quick as you could. Couldn't just quite make it on the night, unfortunately. But I'm not going to ask you about the fight itself, because I know you didn't get a chance to see it. But whenever you look at guys like Tyrone Zeuge, and even Fielding to a certain extent, but Zeuge in particular, in 2016, he got hold of this title. I think it was a majority draw in the first fight with Di Carolis. They had a rematch and he knocked him out. Then he defended it against Isaac Ekpo with a technical decision, won the unanimous decision over Paul Smith in defence of this WBA interim or regular or whatever it is. Then he knocked out Ekpo in the rematch. Tough guy Isaac Ekpo, graduate of the prison canteen, the Grenade himself. And then he gets knocked out by Rocky Fielding. You look at someone like Zeuge, he calls himself a world champion, having made 2 or 3 defences, and the history books will look kindly on him. But in reality, this is a European level guy. You look at some of the guys in the past, even like Hellbomber Graham, even Howard Eastman in recent years, a lot of the American fighters who haven't won world titles. And you wonder how the likes of Zeuge could call themselves a world champion with a decent reign behind them. I mean, what the hell are the WBA doing? Dave? I was asking Dave a question and he put be right back, right in the middle of it. Donnie, I'll redirect that one to you then, shall I? I know it's no secret that the belts are bullshit, but just like I said there to Dave, looking at Zeuge's wins, his defences, it's absolute horseshit that he can call himself a world champion. He's made 2 or 3 defences, and these other guys that I was mentioning can't even call themselves world champions at all. Isn't it time the WBA booked up their ideas and got rid of these bullshit belts, Donnie?
Yeah, well, they keep saying it. Like Andy said, they keep saying that they're going to do it. They're going to lower the numbers of belts. Oh, we've heard the complaints of the fans, and then they don't do it. It's the same old bullshit over and over again. Although I will say, in Zeuge's defense, any guy that knocked out the Grenade is a world champion by my lights.
Well, yeah, Andy, I mean, if Fielding were to fight George Groves, they're talking about it already as being a unification, but how the hell can you unify? I know it's happened in the past. Yeah. Guys who are fighting for a belt under the same organisation. I mean, that's not a unification, is it?
No, it's no, mate. I mean, it's just like a kind of WBC silver title and stuff. But I'm just going to read it out, actually. I mean, heavyweight, you've got Joshua Char as the 2 WBA belt holders. You've then got Groves and Fielding at super middleweight. You've got Golovkin Murata at middleweight. You've got Hurd and Castellano at junior middleweight. I think maybe Islam might have the interim title there. You've now got Thurman and Pacquiao at 147. You've got Davis and Machado at 130. And you've got Burnett Inoue at 118. And then you've got Takeuchi Canizales at 108. So there's what, 1, 2, I forget how many divisions. That must be about 6, 7 divisions I just read out there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, to be honest. German boxing, it's in an absolute state at the moment. I noticed we had Hater Dave's mate Russell Mora refereeing. Dave's not a fan of him at all. But yeah, Zeuge was in bad shape. German boxing's in bad shape. Wilfred Soyerland and Callie and all the boys are going to have to pull something out their arse. What do you think in the chat? I mean, is German boxing dead? Are you sad about this? Are you happy? Such a strong nation, Donnie, in the past, and now they've all fell by the wayside.
Well, they need to do what they normally do. Just like they imported the Klitschko brothers.
Sturm, yeah.
They imported Adolf Hitler. You know, they're very good at making other countries leaders and fighters German. So so I think that they need to maybe look outside and bring in some folks that they can make them German. I think that's the best course of action, because I don't even see, is there anybody really coming up out of the German system that's very exciting? I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
mean, I mentioned the likes of Leon Boone. He fought that Sergey Demchenko and that, but that was a late replacement opponent. He was meant to fight that Swiss Colongo or something. He's a kickboxer. I seen him fight on that card in Riga. He was a decent enough boxer, but not really kind of big hitter. Stefan Hertel, I think he might have took up an L recently as well, though he was an ex-Olympian. Who's the heavyweight, the cruiserweight? There's Arthur Mann, and there's somebody else as well. The black guy. Will come back to me.
Jack Kulkai's still about, but he's not even German, is he? He's originally from Venezuela, I think.
That's right. I don't even know if he's fighting actually anymore.
No, I know he was last seen losing to Demetrius Andrade. I was thinking some of the names from the past. You had the likes of Thomas Ulrich. Do you remember Rochigiani brothers were around? Mitchell Chevsky, another import. Sven Otka, even Henry Masker. It's a far cry from those days. Even the likes of Karol Baljai, Zolt Erdai. Really strong scene at the time, Germany, and I don't really take too much pleasure in it being this week, to be honest, but I suppose it's same with gyms and all that type of stuff. You know, it comes and goes, doesn't it? But what about Sky last night? I mean, did you see anything, Andy, of the Sky commentary? I know Paul Smig was raging, but I mean, the thing is with Sky, it's weird, isn't it? Because, you know, if you watch the football or whatever, and they're all neutral and they're not supporting any particular team, but because it's a matchroom monopoly on Sky, I mean, the narrative drive is just unrelenting. If you dried out all of Sky's bullshit, you can fertilise your lawn, your window boxes, and the field across the road, man. I mean, it's just propaganda central, isn't it?
To be honest, mate, I actually kind of just walked away after the fight actually finished. I hung around about just long enough just to watch that brow or that bruise that you know, that thing that Smig does. When he kind of like drops his eyebrows and looks kind of like he's got a monobrow on top of it. He was fucking beeling. I mean, this is a guy who actually, I think he was British champion. I think, you know, it was a fight. It was a natural fight to be made, and he believed he was world level. And then he went on and got the Abraham fight, and then he told us he was a world or an elite world level fighter and stuff. And he always downed Fielding. And it was just, you know, okay, you know, you believe you're on a different level. However, you lost. You didn't give the guy, you know, was just you coming up. You know, you could have fought him. You could have made a pretty penny. I mean, we all believe Paul's was a millionaire, but you know, it's, you know, maybe
was he openly raging? Like,
it was. You could see it.
Was it like subtle?
I think it was subtle raging. I think somebody had actually tweeted me after the fight and said that he'd been on radio or something like that on Liverpool, and he'd actually said it was a real world title and that, you know. So clearly the guy's fucking raging. And it's the same title. It was the same title. He fought Zeuge for the same title, didn't he? Smig?
Yep.
Aye. Anyways, I'm just glad. You know, okay, you know, I'm not calling it a world title, you know, but people within the industry will call it that. He's going to trade off that. So Smig's going to be forced to call him that actually on Sky. Outside the boxing, he could say anything he wants, but on TV, he's going to kind of sit the kind of narrative line, and it's going to fucking kill him to call him a world champion after all the shit that he spoke. And I just found out that German fighter name I was talking about, it's Abis Barrow. He's a super welterweight, 23-year-old.
I'll have to keep an eye out for him. Shout out to chat stalwart Jason Chukwu. You're always welcome with us, Jason. He was reminding me that Jack Kulkai did indeed fight recently for the EU middleweight title. He knocked out Adesat Rodriguez on the 9th of June, so only a month or so ago, 2018. So he's back with a bang, Mr. Kulkai. Dave, interesting dynamic in the corner of Zeuge. Jürgen Bremer, an active fighter, recently seen in the WBSS tournament, was training Zeuge. He threw the towel in, and then afterwards he was asking Fielding if he could have a shot at his title. What do you think of that dynamic, Dave, having Bremer in the corner, knowing he could fight the winner? He was, you know, throwing the towel on Zeuge's behalf. It's all a bit bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, that's... I mean, if you're Zeuge, you're probably wondering... Did he screw me just so he can get a shot against that guy? So he doesn't have to fight his the guy he corners? I don't know. Although you'd think that an all-German fight with Bremer and Zeuge would sell well. Although I guess maybe it would be bad blood for them to to suggest it. I don't know. Would they ever fight?
I'm sure they probably would if the money was right. I know they've all fallen out with the Sarahlands, but they're all under contract at the moment, so they have to stick with them. Even the old man was in the ring last night.
Probably smiling after that.
Did you see the wife next door to him, actually?
Yeah.
Hair right, a big tight ponytail just so she can pull back the Botox a wee bit.
She's never aged, has she?
Oh, she has aged. If you look at the jowls, man, look like a fucking melted candle.
Was she the blonde?
No, she was dark haired. She had the lips like was a fucking apple.
Oh, she's the one with like the big cheek implants.
Yeah, something like that. She's also one's in her arse as well, probably.
No interest in seeing anything going forward then, Dave? Would you be happy to see Fielding against the winner of George Groves, Callum Smith? Big British grudge match.
How about the Ryder rematch? They fought, right, to a close decision that a bunch of people thought that Ryder won. I think there's no question Ryder would have busted up Zeuge, whatever. Because Ryder's as good as he's ever been now. And it's a pity he didn't get this shot.
Well, really, that was really the person that was supposed to be getting the fight, But I don't think Ryder's aligned or he's signed with her, I think. Is that right?
I think he's on one of these fight. A lot of them are on like a one contract or two fight basis and stuff. They're not actually signed, are they?
No.
He just uses them and abuses them. Although I suppose if they're getting paid, what can you do?
And with Hearn.
And with her. And Liam Wynn said, I enjoyed Rocky Fielding's performance. What I liked the most was the Fielding team being on display as a solid unit. Nigel Travis tracking from Africa the night before. I'm sure he was there. The entire team was jubilant. What was that, Andy? He was in Zimbabwe or something?
He was in Zimbabwe Friday night, mate. I need to go and bring up the card, but was it Michael Cairn, I think his name was? I might be wrong. I might be right off percent. I just put that right out of my arse, that name. But he was in I think the boy lost a decision. I don't know if it was an 8 or a 10 rounder. Might even been 12, I can't mind. But close fight, if I remember. I didn't watch it all. But I was surprised because I seen him in the corner and then I was like, fuck, he's in Germany tonight.
That's a hell of a trek, isn't it?
Oh, what, mate? He must have slept on the train, must have took some dunters and just fucking slept on the train, on the plane and just got up and just went right there to the arena in Germany, But he's been right on his frequent flyer miles this week anyway.
Suitcase full of Zimbabwean dollars. Managed to get him a pint.
You should assassinate Mugabe while he was there.
That guy will never die, he'll never die. So, talking to people who'll never die, you could put a stake through this guy's heart and you wouldn't get rid of him. It's only the Texas Tornado. Gabe Lewis, how are you, Gabe?
Good, how are you?
Oh, Gabe's muting himself. Are you censoring yourself, Gabe?
Oh, sorry about that. I'm here.
No problem at all. We're talking a bit of Rocky Fielding against Tyrone Zeuge. Don't feel like you have to talk about that. I want your opinion on the Manny Pacquiao Lucas Matthysse fight. Matthysse is done. Was he made to order? What has the Pac-Man got left, Gabe?
Whew, that was interesting because I wasn't really all that thrilled to be watching it. I thought it was going to be kind of a boring event, and seeing two guys that really just were past their best. And I wrongfully predicted, as usual. I can't get anything fucking right now. But I thought Matthysse would give him a little bit of trouble, but he went through him like hot butter. I mean, that was a really good show by Pacquiao. And I think a little bit of it was Matthysse was gun shy about the whole thing. Once he got hit a few times, you just saw he crumbled. I mean, the man just crumbled, quitting like he did. Pacquiao looked strong though. I wasn't surprised, or I wasn't expecting Pacquiao to look as big and muscular as he did. I thought the size, because I didn't watch any weigh-ins or look at any videos before in the build up to the fight or anything. So I thought Matthysse was going to be the bigger guy, but Pacquiao looked bigger. I thought it was an enjoyable show from Pacquiao. I mean, that looked a lot like he used to. Again, part of it was because Matthysse is I mean, he's just a shell of what he used to be, and even then, it wasn't that good. I mean, he was solid. He was a solid fighter at his best, but he's never been a guy that's going to be a world beater. But color me impressed. Color me impressed with the whole thing. I thought it was a decent show.
You know what, Gabe? I think that Pacquiao is growing old gracefully. If you look comparatively to some of the other stars, I mean, the likes of Roy Jones Jr., for example, Felix Trinidad, you can name a number of them. Pacquiao, if this is slippage And considering how many fights he's had and the age of him, he hasn't slipped that far.
No, I really don't feel like he did either. You know, I think the Jeff Horn fight and then a few of the other fights that he's had recently, or more recently in his career, I guess.
Looked good against Jesse Vargas, didn't they?
Yeah. I wasn't impressed by that one either, though, because it was just I don't rate Vargas. I never did, and I still don't. And so, some of the fights that he's had recently, especially with the Jeff Horn fight, even if you're one of the people that thinks Pacquiao won, and you scored that, even if you scored that fight close, I mean, why was it close? Jeff Horn ain't that good. I don't know that anybody that really thinks Jeff Horn is a real top-notch guy. So
I have to wonder if maybe he took Horn lightly because of like the insignificance of who he is and how he looked in other fights. Maybe he didn't train well for that fight. It's possible. Because
I think you're right. I think it could be. I think the interesting thing last night was he looked like he had a belly full of fire. That's the first time I've seen him fight in a while that I thought, wow, this son of a bitch is actually wanting to go. Last few times I've seen him out, it's just been kind of going through the motions, looking like, and he was doing some things that I used to enjoy watching. How he'll kind of he steps to his right just a little bit and gets in a perfect spot to throw that left hand uppercut, and he's all off center for the guy that he's fighting because his feet are fast enough and his hands are fast enough that he can get away like that. So, man, I don't know if that's getting old. Sign me up for that shit.
Do you think, Gabe, that he was more mentally switched on? Like he'd made the mistake against Horn, and if he came into the Horn fight, like Dave suggests, and I do agree with this, like the mental edge was maybe a level less than usual, and then all of a sudden he's in a fight, it's 5 rounds, 6 rounds, 7 rounds against Horn, and you can't just turn it on. All of a sudden he's like, shit, I'm in a fight here, and he couldn't turn up the performance to the necessary level, whereas he was more focused and switched on from the start last night.
Yeah, I definitely think that could be the case. And with a guy like Matisse, you're going to have to come prepared. I mean, like you said, he looked more ready than I've seen him look in ages. He looked interested. He looked like he wanted to be there. He looked like he was having a hell of a time. And I think it showed, and I think it came through with a victory because that looked like the kid a long time ago that was fighting, that fought Miguel Cotto and Josh Clottey and on down the list. And seeing somebody fight like that was fun. It was actually fun to watch him fight again. For a long time, I just got to where I really didn't care to watch him unless it was a Marquez fight. And I've said before, those were the ones I could watch forever. So
maybe that's why Arum allegedly stole all of his money, make him hungry again.
Is that what happened?
That's the rumor, anyway.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. Arum's a greedy fucking bastard.
What's next then, Gabe? What are they going to do with him? What would you do with Pacquiao, considering we all assume now that he's split with Arum? So what are you going to do with him?
Man, I don't know. I think that's a good question. I mean, if he's free to go where he wants and do as he pleases, I think the world is his oyster, and he can kind of pick and choose what he does. They kept mentioning on the U.S. broadcast last night that he had a big debt in the United States with the IRS. So, I mean, fuck, if I was him, I wouldn't come anywhere near the States. I'd tell you that much. I don't know, just fight some global top fights and make big events out of them, because I think anywhere he goes, he's going to be a star. And if he wins like he did last night, he can fight for, a little while longer and keep it going and keep things looking good. I don't see why he couldn't just do some fights with some top tier level guys that are looking to break out on the world level, stuff like that. I mean, I really don't have a particular want or desire. There was some talk I read somewhere about him still fighting Amir Khan. So that's one that I don't think is a good fight for him. I don't know that I'd see him go into a fight like that. I mean, obviously, if he lands a punch, Amir's going down, so that's always positive. But I really don't know. I think you just play it safe in your old age and keep that title belt warm and fight some up and coming guys and continue making some good money.
I think another possibility too is, I mean, what did they pack, about 75,000 people into that stadium in Australia when he fought Horn. Now Horn just lost his title to Crawford. He has a chance to get his title back by fighting Pacquiao. I could see that. I mean, rematch happening. I don't think it's a rematch that needs to happen, but for the money that they might generate over there, it might be worth it to him.
Go ahead, Gabe.
Yeah, I was about to agree with that. I mean, I think that's a great place to do some more business, and I think if he fights like he did last night, Horn ain't gonna last the 12 rounds either. You know, I just don't think it's a good idea for him to get in with a guy like Bud Crawford or some of those other guys. You know, I think that'll damage it to the point where he's not able to continue fighting. And if that's your goal, I think it kind of depends. As a fan, if Manny comes 110% and Crawford comes 110%, I think that's a fun fight to watch. But at the same time, I mean, it kind of depends on which angle you're looking at it from. So, you know, from a fan's perspective, would I like to see him continue facing good fighters? Hell yeah, I would. But at the same time, if I'm thinking from a team perspective, you know, if I'm on his team or his inner circle, I'm like, let's just find some top-notch local guys and some small-time, maybe world stage guys, and then call it square. Because, you know, you don't want to see a guy get hurt. But, I mean, in boxing, it's just one of those things that happens. They just go on forever until they absolutely can't anymore. So, and I think that might be what we see from Pacquiao, honestly, in the end. Hopefully not, but you never can tell.
Yep, Gabe's right. All the great ones do tend to go on for too long. We shan't go on for too long tonight. We'll quit when we quit. Who knows how long we'll last for. A very strong stateside contingent here. They're about as popular as Donald Trump, these three. We've got Dave, the hater low back, Donny Baseball, and Gabe Lewis on the call. Andy Patterson as well, Boxing Asylum stalwart. We'll be going stateside in a minute to talk about Regis Prograis' win over Juan Jose Velasco. Value of the Weeks will be coming up later. Strong stuff there. And Andy is hopefully going to recap all the stuff we missed last week when I was away. If you're in the chat, don't forget to hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Let YouTube know that you love listening to us. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Good, strong numbers tonight, actually, after the World Cup finished. They've all come along to join us. Right, let's go stateside with you, Andy, shall we? Regis Prograis against Velasco. 8th round knockout. It was a really one-sided affair. Velasco was undefeated, but he was one of these untested Argentines. We didn't really know what to expect from him. I like Prograis. I think he's aggressive. He's a southpaw. He comes forward. He's got flaws. He holds his hands too low. Apparently in sparring, he doesn't use a head guard or anything like that. And as Tim Bradley remarked on the ESPN commentary team, that's why he's got cauliflower ears. He's going to be exciting. He's going to get knocked out at the highest level, I do believe. But for that tier just below, I'm looking forward to seeing the future of Regis Prograis. He seems like someone who's not afraid to fight. He's very aggressive, and it's going to be an exciting ride for as long as it lasts.
Excellent, mate. And he's also confirmed, or I think, you know, be saying that the plan is to go to the World Boxing Super Series.
Yep.
I'm going to take that as read that he has signed and he's ready to go. He does seem to be a guy who drips himself in the sport. You know, he's a big fan of Duran, Henry Armstrong, guys like that. You know, he is going to be a problem. I'm going to say he's going to be absolute unifications. Sorry, no unifications. He's going to be unified champ. Sorry, but you know, he's going to be. You know, at this point, I think he's going to be calling it the best, fighting the best. You know, he's just basically come under the radar for me. Actually, you know, 29-year-old now, so he's definitely going to have to kind of step it up now. Really going to be interesting to see who. You know, I think he'll be the one that will be ranked in the Super Series stuff, so we'll wait and see. A lot of people want to see Prograis Taylor in the final, and that I'm not too sure if that's going to happen. Obviously, we'll wait and see what happens with the draw, but you know, he was really good there last night. You know, dropped the guy 3 times. You know, very, very methodical. Very good performance. And as you say, Velasco not really kind of tested and stuff, but I think with Prograis, I like to see him. Well, we're going to see it, I suppose, with this tournament. But I just like to see him kind of under pressure and having to kind of fight back or defend under, say, you know, severe adversity. So if he does that, I think he'll probably find it in this tournament as well. As if he gets himself through that, then he'll definitely do well, and he'll probably will be, you know, a world champion a couple of times over as well.
What about the stoppage, Andy, when it finally came? Velasco told his corner for about 2 rounds before that he wanted out. The corner kept throwing him back in. Lawrence Cole wouldn't accept the warning signs whenever he was falling to the floor. They were desperate for him to get a beating.
What was it? It was at the end of round 7 and that was kind of basically saying, "Oh, I'm not. What do you mean you didn't want to go? And what the fuck are you talking about? Get out of there!" And obviously, you know, when you see Lawrence Cole in the ring and stuff like your heart almost just or instantly drops in your farter because you just know as he's one of the most awful refs. Just basically, he's there because obviously I don't know what commission covered this. I think it was New Orleans, but he's obviously Texas is no far away from this place, so he's just basically like a regional ref, shall we say? He's a fucking.
Hey, now you watch that shit.
I forgot you got about a gun in your hand.
I'm just kidding, Andy. I wanted to say something about this too, so I'll let you finish. I just wanted to poke some fun.
Nah, it was just the fact is, it looked like he wanted to quit, and usually your corner, if the fighters want to quit in that, you will probably say to him, come on, let's go. And if you still want to quit in that, then you kind of look at him, you kind of like gonna ask him again and stuff. If he's wanting to quit, let him quit. If he's injured, it's even I don't know if he was, but if he was injured, send him back out there. It's the worst thing for him. If he doesn't want to fight, stop the fight. He's saying he was getting methodically broken down there, round by round, dropped 3 times, well, twice at that point, I suppose, before the stoppage. But it was no need for him to go on and take another round of beating. So save your fighter for another day. But
yeah, just before the ending, Gabe, Velasco, he was trying to find a way of an acceptable quit. He was thinking, how can I get out of here without outright quitting? And he sort of slumped to the floor after the first knockdown in the 8th, I think it was. And then all of a sudden, Lawrence Cole starts waving, no knockdown, pulls him back up again. I'm sure Velasco was thinking, fuck's sake, how the hell am I going to get out of here, Gabe?
Yeah, it was actually kind of comical in some ways because, like Andy said, his corner wouldn't let him stop. And then, the knockdown slip, whatever it was, we thought it was a knockdown. And then you got fucking Larry Cole, who's the worst referee of all time. I mean, the worst. I can't think of somebody worse. Somebody that might compare Ian John Lewis. He's not even in the same category as bad as this guy. Larry Cole has to be removed. I don't know what these fucking people's problem is that keep getting this guy jobs. I read before his dad was we don't even have a sanctioning body in fucking Texas. So I got to wonder if he was just getting the fights they called up and Daddy Cole says, yeah, Larry, we got you a card. You're going to go work this one. And that's how he got on. Cause it's loosely in Texas, a licensing committee board-esque thing. So I'm not even really sure how that works, but,
do you remember, Gabe? He got suspended, wasn't it? I'm going to say it was either the Juan Manuel Marquez Turd-Sack Jandeng fight or the Jim Rex Jacker fight. Whenever he went over to Marquez, didn't he say, you're cut. If you don't want to go on, you'll win now on a technical decision. And then I think he ended up getting suspended for that. He told Marquez, basically, if you don't want to carry on, that's fine. You're going to win the fight.
I don't remember. I don't recall that part. But I do know that it wouldn't surprise me one damn bit. I mean, the guy is just horrible. So the guy slips or gets knocked down. He waves it off, which I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me, because you could tell it was apparent to everybody, or at least everybody that was watching the same broadcast that I was watching, that he wanted out. So he waves it as a slip. The guy gets back up and he's like, he can't find a way, like you said, to quit without just saying no mas. And it just goes on for another, fucking 2 minutes. This guy's trying not to get back in the fight. So, it was, like I said, a bit comedic, but at the same time, then you have somebody like me who's, and probably the majority of boxing fans that watch a lot of the cards that see Lawrence Cole, Larry Cole is what I call him because he's a jackass, just completely shit the bed again. He does this every time he's on a card. He just finds some way to fuck something up. So beside that, Prograis looks sharp. He's going to win a couple titles, but he's going to get knocked out eventually and lose spectacularly, like you said. I'm 110% on board with that assessment.
Yeah, just to clear that up in case anybody cares, he's the son of state boxing coordinator Dickie Cole, and shout out here to poundforpound.com, who had a report on the fight that I was referring to there. It was indeed Juan Manuel Marquez against Jim Rex Jacker, and they wrote, and I quote here, "This was probably one of the finest moments on HBO's Boxing After Dark series this year. Too bad referee Lawrence Cole had to taint it with a very odd statement when he took Marquez to the corner to have the doctor have a look at the bloody wound. As Cole got to the corner with Marquez, he says to the cut fighter, 'Habla Inglés?' to which Marquez nods in the affirmative. Cole then tells him, 'You are ahead on the cards.' Why did Cole feel the need to tell Marquez he was ahead? Better yet, how did Cole know the scores? The WBO is going to have to explain that one to me, said the reporter. And shortly after that, Lawrence Cole was suspended from refereeing for 6 months and fined $500 for his part in this little incident. So there we are. That's that one cleared up. Hey, to Dave, you didn't get to see anything of Prograis Velasco, I don't suppose. What about Prograis against Juan Carlos Ramirez? That's the one we want to see. But it looks like Prograis is going into the World Boxing Super Series. Possible fight with Josh Taylor. Do you think he's got the minerals to become a world champion? How would you rate him, Dave, Prograis against the likes of Ramirez, against the likes of Taylor, or the other lightweight contenders around?
Well, 140, it's sort of a question mark at the moment because it's mostly new names coming in after Crawford cleaned out the others. And I don't know, there could be a few guys that move back down there, could be a few guys moving up. I think there's a decent chance that if we eventually see Gervonta move up to 140, I think he's huge for the weight that he's at, and I think he would. That could be quite a couple of years down the line, though. He could probably make a stop at 135 first. Yeah, 140's a weird division at the moment because it doesn't have a champion really, and it's sort of open season. I think Josh Taylor will be the ultimate man there, but yeah, I could see Prograis winning a belt. Broner's still hanging around there, right? I don't know if he might be a Broner weight somewhere, like a catch weight, 144. I don't know.
Who wins, Dave? Tell me who wins between Prograis and Broner. Prograis would make it work, wouldn't he? But he would walk onto stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, he's not going to be too hard for Broner to hit, which is a problem because Broner's got power and Broner can take a punch.
Too active, Broner can take a punch,
but Broner doesn't work enough. So you have to probably say Prograis would probably have the edge on the cards, and Broner would have a better chance to knock him out. I don't think Prograis seems to be like a massive puncher yet. He's more of a wear you down guy. It looks from the looks of things. But Josh Taylor destroys Broner's I believe. So I'd love to see that. That'd be entertaining.
What about Prograis against Kiro Relic, Dave? Who wins that?
Those guys, as far as I'm concerned, are kind of on the same level until we see them against better guys. Probably have to favor Prograis right now because Relic has shown to be he has that ability to kind of cool off in fights. He did quite well to beat that. Oh, I mean, he won about every round of his last fight, but the opponent offered so little; it was just bizarre. And it was hard to...
Relic's found his level, I think, Dave. Really, just below the top, isn't it?
I'd probably favor Prograis there, but yeah, I mean that I don't know how much credit you can give to Relic for that last win, even though he won pretty much every round. The opponent was just, I don't know, didn't show up.
Final one, Dave. What about Prograis against Victor Postol?
See, that's a tough one too because Postol is hot and cold, and you never know which version of him is going to show up. If he's up for it, I think Postol wins that fight. He looked real good against Taylor, made a close fight, but then in his fight prior to that, I hadn't seen it, but I heard bad things. Taylor, I mean, against Crawford, he looked real bad. I don't know if that was because he wasn't up for it or because Crawford's just that damn good. But good for Postol in his last fight, which if he shows up like that again, I would say he would beat Prograis.
Hey, Donnie, let's go to you. I'm sure you've gathered I'm a fan of Prograis. I like him. He's fast, he's aggressive, he throws caution to the winds. Just talking about the commentary on the night, this Mark Kriegel character, Donnie, the writer on the microphone, is the ultimate contrarian, isn't he? You know, he's brought in to develop this conflict and debate. He's constantly disagreeing with everything. He's been bred as the new Teddy Atlas, I think. What do you think about Kriegel, Donnie? Lover or hater?
I used to like his interview segments when he was on Showtime. With the fighters, it was like part of the preliminary show. I actually did not, I have not seen his work from last night yet because I have a philosophical objection to paying for ESPN Plus. So I streamed it. I streamed the Box Nation commentary last night and saw the same commentary that you did with Chris Algieri, who, by the way, it should be noted, I thought was pretty good, and I think you mentioned that earlier. So yeah, no, I didn't catch it on ESPN Plus because people pay a lot of money in this country to pay for like cable television, and actually ESPN charges the cable and satellite networks about 6 times as much as any other channel does. And so they're probably the biggest reason why your cable bill is high. And then they're deliberately taking content off of the ESPN channels so that they can put it on this app and milk people for an extra $5, I think is abhorrent. Because there's plenty of crap on ESPN 1 and 2 and all these other channels that they have that they could just they could put it on there, but they want to milk people for more money. So
like the World Series of fucking poker.
Yeah.
Dude, I got a rail on that too, man. That was fucking horse shit. I hate paying for the app, and it pisses me off, especially whenever they got the fucking World Series of Poker on goddamn ESPN. Come on, man.
Yeah, put it on the Deuce or put it on Classic or something. I don't know. Yeah,
or the Ocho.
Well, I wouldn't even mind, but there was a New York Times article earlier this year, basically saying that ESPN had made a fantastically and smart investment in boxing by doing this deal with Top Rank and also the deal with Golden Boy, because the ratings they were getting from the money they were spending was great. There was actually, basically they were paying less than $1 a viewer, whereas like for the NBA they're paying $5 a viewer. And there were some cases where the big fights actually topped the numbers that the regular season NBA games were getting. It was a game with LeBron James in it, and the boxing actually got a bigger rating, and even in the target demographic got a better rating. So it seemed like they were doing a really good thing by showing this stuff on regular ESPN. Then all of a sudden they started putting all these fights on the app. So I'm kind of protesting it. So I can't really weigh in on Kriegel. From what I hear, a lot of people aren't a fan. I would say that his longer form interview segments on Showtime, where he would talk to the fighters in advance, I liked those. I also know that Jonathan Butler can't stand him, and Bryn's usually a pretty knowledgeable guy about boxing, so I tend to defer to his opinion.
Yeah, I noticed Jason Chukwu on the chat said that some Chinese guy won $26 million on the poker. Donnie, you need to get yourself in on that scene.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I have the patience.
No. Right, so yeah, final word on Prograis. He can be found and he can be hit, but I like his constant activity. He's not just a come-forward slugger who just throws punches. Every time Velasco set himself and he tried to put together an attack, he was being flicked and tapped and immediately pushed back onto the defensive. I like that little move from Prograis. He didn't let him set himself or create an opportunity or anything like that. He was constantly on top of him. So fair play to him for that. Andy, final word on this card. We'll go on to the undercard. We were talking earlier about this Teofimo Lopez. I think he's of El Salvadorian or Guatemalan extract. He's from New York. He looked good, quite the character. He punched too hard and had too many skills and angles for someone as basic and as stiff as this Brazilian William Silva. And Lopez, Andy, even incorporated a spring in the air jump shot. Now, we were debating the legality of this move on Twitter earlier. What's the latest?
I think it's legal punch, mate. It's just not recommended. If you remember when Joe Frazier knocked down Muhammad Ali in the first fight, and that he actually leaped off his feet with a left hook. The 13th round, I think it was. So yeah, I don't think there's as far as I know anyway. As far as I'm concerned, that's a legal punch. It's just the fact is it's not recommended. As soon as you leave your feet, you're losing all your base weight and basically your balance. So if you can get caught on the way down, you could sprain an ankle, get caught off balance, maybe get countered or whatever. But he's quite the. I mean, you remember as well. He's fighting a guy who was rumoured or registered as 6'1". So rather than taking a set of stairs, what you expect him to do, jump up and fucking punch a guy. Obviously, it was a good performance actually. Although there was the guy he was fighting. There wasn't really kind of much known about him at the time, I suppose. Well, I had never seen him anyway. I know
only defeat was to oh god, I always forget this guy's name. Puerto Rican prospect, fell off the motorbike. Supposed to be the next. Yeah, him. Yeah.
Never seen that fight, mate. But in the day, Lopez, he looks really aggressive. Really does work the body. Jumps him with the left hook, and I think the first knockdown in the first round actually was by leaping left hook. Watch the body well, as I says.
He throws with such intensity and ferocity, doesn't he?
He has an evil thrower actually. So really, at lightweight, he's a good addition. We're talking about it as well as who is he going to be fighting? Again, I think he's ranked somewhere in the middle half of some of the sanctioned bodies or whatever it is. But some good fights to be had out there. Maybe like say your Pedraza. I need to go and check to see what kind of body he's with and that, but there's some good fights for me to have out there. Very, very aggressive, as I says. And whoever he fights, he's going to give them hell. Maybe a Richard Comey fight would be a really interesting one as well.
He's 12 with the WBA, that's the highest. So the type of names ahead of him, you're looking at the likes of not great Andy Barthélemy, Campbell, Crawler towards the top end, Jordan, Emiliano Marsilli, guys like that. I mean, I tell you what, he could be making waves pretty soon if that's the standard.
He's with Adam as well, so I take it he's not going to be travelling. He's not going to fight like your Tatleys or anything like that. So yeah, unless I know Linares is back in the gym working, but I think at this point, I mean, Lopez is a really good talent, really good prospect. He's only 20-0. Why would you put him in like Linares at the minute? But I really don't know. I mean, we were speaking off air, Steve. Can you imagine him against Lewis Ritson?
That'd be a great fight. He's only 9-0, Andy. Actually,
I know. 9-0.
10-0. Sorry, no.
So, I think him and Ritson would be a great fight, but obviously, that would need to be titles on the line for that one. But I just think, at some point in the future, it's just he's going to be in some cracking fights. But it's going to be easy for him, isn't it? It's going to be like probably like 15-0, 16-0 before he starts getting world title shots, I think. Which by that point, I think like the kind of top names will kind of thinned out. Garcia would have been up to 140. Lomachenko would be like unified champ.
He'll start going for the WBA. WBO probably with Bob, won't he?
Aye, probably. Depends if he stays with him, but then you're looking at, like, say, just pull up the WBO rankings there. You've got Arakawa, Jordan's talking about Mercedes Gesta, so, Paulus Moses, a couple of names there he could maybe feast on.
Those are some old names there.
Yeah, but something to feast his name on. You're in the toilet, aren't you?
You having a shit, Dave?
Yeah, I was just brushing my teeth and brought my laptop in here. But I wanted to bring the conversation back real quick to the legality of weird punches. You were talking about the one where they leave their feet to punch, and we're pretty sure that's legal. What about the two-handed punch? Now, Emmanuel Augustus did that famous sort of a shovel punch where he threw both hands out there straight and clobbered a guy. And it's one of his highlights. But then I recall in Pacquiao Claudy, Pac looped both of his gloves around the guard and hit Claudy on the sides of the head, and the ref warned him, and then you had Letterman saying, "Jim, you can't hit the guy with both hands at one time." So I just was not really sure about the rule of both-handed punches.
I noticed Gabe last night, Prograis was guilty of the flicking the right hand in almost a slap motion, but he wasn't pulled up on it by your favourite Larry Cole. Any dodgy punches, Gabe, that come to mind for you?
Not really. The only thing I thought was illegal was the double fuck the double fisted punch or whatever you want to call it. I remember seeing that. I mean, if I was Pacquiao, I probably would have done the same thing or tried to knee him in the nuts. Though Claudy went to that shell, and I was at that horrible mess of a fucking fight. I don't know. I mean, I didn't think the leap and punch was against the rules because, like Andy said, I just remember seeing Joe Frazier use it to knock down Ali. So I never really questioned the legality of it, but I didn't think that the two-handed punch was legal.
No beef from Gabe on that one then. Okay, let's wrap up that card. I think at the end of the day, I like the look of Lopez, but Silva, he was tall and stiff and straight lines, bloated record, just a made-to-order guy, really. And he looked at it facially speaking a bit like Anthony Fowler, so I suppose that predetermined the L. We've got Anthony Fowler coming up later as well in the Bellew of the Weeks for some of his activity. Go ahead, Gabe. Oh, Gabe's muted himself. No problem. Andy, we were talking off air, as I mentioned before, about the Larry Ekundeo John Thane fight. This was Friday night. None of us saw it. I know I was hoping Ozzy might be on tonight. He usually watches these cards. Ekundeo getting the win over the 12-round distance, scores of 117, 111, 116, 112, 115, 113. He won a vacant IBF European strap or something. Decent fighter Thane, just hasn't got the power, unfortunately. Feel free to talk about that, Andy, if you wish, or if you want to lead us into some of the stuff we missed from last week.
I never really saw much of that card, to be honest, mate. I ended up kind of getting caught up with other stuff. But for last week, obviously, Shumenov returning after, I don't know how long he was off for, maybe a couple of years. Picked up, again, one of the cruiserweight vacant WBA titles against Hisney Altankaya. Made the guy retire in the 9th round. It was quite a kind of pedestrian performance by Altankaya, actually. Shumenov, you know, he is what he is, you know, and he's never really kind of improved. That was another monster card, actually, as well. Kavaliauskas on last week's ESPN card, he went 10 rounds with Juan Carlos Abreu. Andy Ruiz, he went 10 rounds with safety pin. And there's another fighter on that card actually I'd kept my eye on. I forget who it was actually. I need to go back and check it. And on Friday, Vic Saludia, he's picked up the WBO minimum weight title by beating champion Ryu Yamanaka in Japan. Really good performance by the Filipino, actually. Really good measured performance. Beat off Koshi Tanaka for the WBO title about 2-3 years ago. So good to see him kind of come back and get his title picked up. So that's pretty much covers last week's boxing, mate.
Cheers, Andy. We'll be going on to the previews very shortly. Like I said, Belly of the Weeks as well. We've had a few questions and points of interest coming in. I'm going to hit you with one, Donny, in a minute. Don't forget, if you're listening, if you want to support the Asylum, then it's dead easy. Just leave us an iTunes review or hit subscribe. Or Patreon, yep, hit subscribe on the YouTube. And if you're in the chat right now, hit the thumbs up. We'll be mentioning Patreon very soon. Plenty of bits and pieces coming up over there. Right, Donny, here's one for you. This is an interesting one from Danny Young. He said, after listening to last night's pod, as in the last one we were on 2 weeks ago, and noting Dave's 90% chance of beating you, my question, says Danny, is if all the panelists from the pod were to compete in a Nuthouse World Boxing Super Series, who would be the finalists? What do you reckon, Donny? Throw us all into a World Boxing Super Series. Who would be the finalist, Donny? Come on, fantasy. What's going to happen?
So there's no weight classes?
No, I don't think so.
Imagine we're all geared up as well, so we're all geared up to the good.
Sponsored by Clenbuterol.
Well, Tommy's the biggest, isn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say Tommy'd have to be number one. Also, if he didn't get DQ'd or like Tyson style with Holyfield.
Tommy could fight Rob. Tommy could fight Rob. Rob's quite tall, isn't he? So he could be a bit of a slickster, you know, hands down, like a Roy Jones type.
Yeah, I don't know who the other finalists would be. Tommy would be my pick though. Tommy allows me the freedom when I'm out drinking with him. Not that I would, but I know that I could talk shit to anybody because I'm standing next to a big heavy Scotsman. So, you know, I mean, no one's gonna mess with me. But no,
Are you weak to the body, Donny?
Yeah, lately a lot. But I think maybe we give Andy a shot. I don't know how big he is. About 170, Andy.
But 160, 170. Aye.
Yeah, maybe Rob Kelly just celebrated his 40th. I don't know. Maybe he's still got a little fight left in him, like PAC. But so I don't know. Who's your pick, Steve?
Well, MB on the chat says Smido cleans you all out. I know Smido keeps himself in good shape. He's probably the fittest on the pod. I used to box when I was younger, but I was shit, so I'd probably get knocked out. So you can discount me. I'm more of a Wheelstone raider. Dave, I know you've been frequenting the gyms over the years, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, lately I've been going to the MMA gym. We're allowed MMA rules or just boxing?
Just boxing.
Oh, okay. Well, I do Muay Thai. That has some striking involved. Yeah, I'm still not in my peak shape, though. I can assure you.
Dave will just bring his gun.
Yeah.
Look at you, motherfuckers.
Me and Gabe are gonna have a shootout.
Gabe, but you'd have to come to the ring like Jorge Arce on a horse with a cowboy hat on.
Goddamn right.
This tournament's not big enough for the two of us.
That's pretty much how it looked.
I think pretty much then Tommy, we're all agreed, then Tommy would come out on top because he's just a monster compared to the rest of us. Happy with that, Donny, then Tommy as the winner?
Yeah, I go for that.
I'm good with that.
Okay, cool. Right, then congratulations, Danny Young. Thanks for that question. Tommy's the winner of our World Boxing Super Series. He gets a cash prize and a little bag of white powder as well for his troubles to get him through. Right, let's move on. Who have we got? Who should we hit with this one? I think I'll go with you, Hater Dave. We had Casual and Proud tagged us in to a tweet sent out by the Mayor of London, a guy called Sadiq Khan. He said, Anthony Joshua is coming home. Delighted we could play a part in helping bring AJ's next 2 fights to Wembley, cementing London's reputation as the undisputed boxing capital of the world. With at TFL, which I think is Transport for London, will ensure fans travel safely. Casual and Proud says, does this make the Wilder fight next even less likely? Well, it pretty much does, doesn't it? I mean, they've guaranteed these 2 fights at home, Gabe. It's not like he's been a road warrior travelling around the globe, trotting the globe or anything, is it? But he's coming back home to London, and it means the Wilder fight's not going to happen next anyway, Dave.
Wait, why does that mean?
Yeah, Wilder said he was willing to travel.
I just don't think it's going to happen next. They're going to tie in Povetkin and somebody else. No,
yeah, I don't think it will either, and they probably will put another one in there before Wilder. It just seems like Eddie doesn't want it, but I don't think that it happening in London is an issue. Sadiq Khan, though, I hate the prick. He's awful. Get rid of him, London. You could do so much better. And it's certainly not because he's a Muslim. It's because he bans free speech on the London Underground. He's a complete hypocrite, and he called his own people Uncle Toms. He's just an asshole. Get rid of his ass.
Scumbag motherfucker.
Gabe, let me just say this. This is a bit harsh from Dave. I think he's missing the point here, because the press release said that Anthony Joshua, OBE, has committed his future to his loyal UK fight fans, with his next 2 fights to be staged at Wembley Stadium. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going on about Wilder and this and that and the other. And Joshua, he's just doing this for the fans, Gabe. He just wants, he's a loyal man who wants his own people to come to London and watch him. I mean, what's the problem, Dave? Gabe, sorry.
The problem is he won't do what he needs to do and sign on to fight Wilder. And I don't think this is just an American point of view from what I've seen on Twitter and so on and so forth. People are just calling bullshit because they smell it. You can smell it every time Hearn opens his goddamn mouth. You can smell it every time. Well, I mean, I guess Joshua's not as outspoken so much as it is Hearn. I think Hearn's the mouthpiece there. And Joshua just kind of has to roll with whatever Hearn says because that's the boss man. So I don't know. I mean, I do think it's good in some ways, but it's all a farce. He's going to keep doing that, and the casuals are going to keep lapping it up like the dogs that they are. And in the end, it's going to just delay the fight that needs to happen right now, which is 2 good heavyweights in their prime that are ready to go. They need to be fighting. And I think that's the problem that most people have with it is like you keep making these demands and they keep being met as far as we know. And again, there's a lot of things we don't know, I think, as fans, but you keep making these demands. The Wilder side keeps saying, all right, that's what you want. You got it. And then it just keeps going on to the point where it just, why do you need to have 2 fights in his hometown? What's the point of that? Just do the one fight that we want to see in the hometown, and then you can stay there forever. Don't make a big deal out of it like you're trying to be a fans man, because you're not. The only thing that's going on is the wool's getting pulled over the eyes of the casuals, and it's bullshit. Anybody that wants to see decent fights and good fights is getting jobbed out of this one. Personally, I hope it's Povetkin that knocks the shit out of him. I hope he knocks his head clean off. Just end the bullshit. Just get it all over with, because I don't think Povetkin's going to dodge and duck Wilder. So just let Povetkin win by a spectacular knockout and be done with it. Fuck Joshua. Fuck Hearn. Fuck them both.
Harsh words from Gabe there, Andy. Just sticking on a heavyweight theme, actually, Andy. This Dillian White-Joseph Parker pay-per-view, it ain't getting any stronger, is it? We believe that Kell Brook's opponent, Brandon Cook, not a great fight in the first place. He's close to falling through. In fact, it has fallen through. Katie Taylor's still on there. Joshua Buatsi, Ricky Summers, according to the chat, has fallen through as well. Derek Chisora, Carlos Takam. They've thrown in this Conor Benn rematch, trying to drum up some interest. And there was another fight. Chris Eubank's been added to it as well. Are they tempting you anymore, Andy, to dip into your pockets?
Nope. Absolutely no fucking way. My paying pay-per-view for that.
What if Eubank was fighting Kovalev?
Even then, I wouldn't pay for it. Absolutely no fucking chance. Odd move, because I thought Eubank was backup support for the Super Series final.
Yeah, apparently so. That's what I thought too.
unless he's getting a tune-up fight, unless the contract allows him to do it. Who knows? I noticed Brevis is still without an opponent next week as well, but that's another topic. But absolutely, I'm not paying for that shit. Parker White is what it is. It's a two top 10 guys fighting off. There's no title on the line. It's a trade fight. Boatis is going to get left again with another shit opponent. I suppose Summers was a relative step up, but at late notice, who's he going to get now? Who knows? Katie Taylor, no interest really kind of watching that fight. She's probably going to dominate the lasses she's fighting. Who else is on the card? Conor Benn, the French boy. Could go either way, I suppose. It depends how much Ben's learned and improved over the time. Who else is on the card, Steve?
Anthony Fowler's fighting Craig O'Brien.
I noticed he's an undefeated fighter for Ireland, actually. I think this guy could pose a risk to
No.
the Wolverine?
No.
Fuck.
No.
So, I would pay pay-per-view if I knew if I was going to get knocked out, I would definitely pay it then. But I'll bow down to your superior knowledge, Steve, and I will not pay for it because Fowler's going to win his fight. That's a shame. No, definitely no paying for it. Brooke, because we know. What is the story with him? Are people saying he's injured? Is he fat as fuck? What's going on here? What is going on?
They're shifting him onto the American thing, I think, aren't they? For this DAZN thing.
To fight who?
I've no idea.
It'll not be fucking Jarrett Hurd or the Charlos at this point anyway, because after Eddie Hearn, who did he beat in his first fight back at 154? Who was it again?
Rabchenko.
He's the best 154 fighter in the world now. He's ended up fighting who exactly? He's pulling out of pay-per-view fights. He's going to go to America on a platform that doesn't work at the minute. You got Canadians kicking up fuck because they can't watch NFL on said platform. So why do you want to pay for it? What is the latest? You're signing who did they sign recently?
That makes me think he's going to fight Tony Harrison, something like that.
Probably. Who's the fighter that he signed there the other day there?
Robbie Davis.
No, that was an American fighter that he signed. Who was the fighter?
I can't remember. There was a press release about it, wasn't there?
Andrade.
Oh, has he? Has he signed him?
I'm sure he's signed Andrade.
I know Andrade's contract's expired. I wouldn't get near him. He's a freaking waste of time.
Well, he's definitely talented. He's just never kind of seen it through. He's always had promotional problems, and I'm just going to pull up this news. I'm fucking sure he signed me here. Give me seconds here.
I noticed Saw Wrong with his eyes back next week.
13th of July. Kevin Idich actually did unboxing scene. Demetrius Andrade to sign with Matchroom fight.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough. Well, if he's active and he fights, then I'm all for it. But he's shown in his career so far that he's not. I mean, he had a shot on HBO against that, was it Atlanta's Fox? And I thought, oh, here we go. And then a big mass, a drop off. And
he beat Brian Rose, remember? Then he kind of disappeared for a while.
He beat Cole Kai, didn't he, in Germany?
That was last year. But then he was talking about fighting Cotto and wanting 50-50 and stuff. And I really don't know if he was being difficult with the talks. I think it was a Starboxing he was with.
Starboxing, yeah, that's right.
They had a bit of beef with them and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, okay, he signed with Hearn. That's at least Hearn gonna have dates, platform to kind of put him on. So at least get him active, see where he's at. But I think he's been mandated to fight Billy Joe Saunders now actually as well.
I noticed Fat Apple's putting in the chat there. I was sceptical about DAZN, but the signing of the World Boxing Super Series, which is the biggest thing in the sport right now, I don't give them credit for signing the World Boxing Super Series. Fat Apples. I'll be waiting to see when they sign fighters and make fights on their own platform. It's like I've said before, I'm not going to go down this black hole, but they've picked off somebody else's idea, which is great and everything, but I'll wait and see until they're doing their own things, to be honest, before giving credit on that DAZN thing.
Well, the other thing I was going to say as well is, this is going to be on DAZN, but DAZN is only going to be shown in America. We've been told, apparently, that this should be on Sky. So fucking maybe, I mean, I'm no fucking going to be employing myself or subscribing to another outlet to watch fucking boxing. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I know. Saw Wrong with his eyes coming back next week. He's fighting against young Gil Bay in a non-title fight, and then he's returning again in October. Whether that's on the super flyweight card or not, I don't know. Here, Donny, we were talking about a possible fight for Kell Brook coming up. How about he fights the winner of this fantastic fight that's going on next week in the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee? We've had the return of Devin Alexander against Ortiz. We're apparently getting Ortiz against Brandon Rios. How about this vintage fight, Donny? DeMarcus Corley against Vivian Harris. You digging that?
Oh, man.
Call is 51-30-1, and Harris is 32-12-2. Who's going to win, Donny?
When you said 51, I thought you said he was going to top his age here, actually. Pop chop's still gone, man. Fuck me.
Yep.
That's it. Andy, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing. Jeez, how old is Corley? Does anyone know?
Must be mid-40s. Must be.
Yeah. Jesus, he fought Mayweather back in like 98.
He's 44.
Oof.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been 98, Donny. I think it was maybe early 2000s, was it?
Okay, yeah, maybe that is. But and then
2004. Sorry, 2004.
Vivian Harris, didn't he upset somebody like a long time ago? Was it Zab Judah or something?
Not sure, to be honest.
Those were guys that were, geez, like you said, in the early 2000s, they were names.
Donny, they fought before. This is a rematch. They fought in 2017 in Raleigh, and Vivian lost the decision to DeMarcus for the UBF title.
Well, yeah, was it the winner gets like pensioners benefits or something?
Both guys went down, so it must have been a great fight.
Oh man, but yeah. Well, I hope that one's streaming on the DAZN network. That might actually persuade me to get it.
Someone's brain cells have got to go. That's bad, isn't it? Like freaking hell. Right, forget about that then, Donny. Tell me about. Have you got any interest in this Jaime Munguia Liam Smith fight that's taking place in Las Vegas?
Yeah. Actually, I am interested in that. Yeah, boy, that Munguia looks like a tough customer, and as I keep saying, I think it was a shame that that Vegas commission didn't let him fight Golovkin. Glad to see that he's back in action pretty quickly. Yeah, I'll be definitely looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a real tough ask for Liam Smith. I mean, this Munguia guy, he's young, he's fucking ridiculously strong at the weight, just in general. I mean, I think that he could be a force to be reckoned with in the coming years. I mean, he just has a lot of raw power, and he's young, and he fights pretty aggressive, and Liam Smith is going to have to use all of his veteran tricks and probably try to outbox him, but I don't know if he has enough for him. I mean, obviously, I commend him for coming over and giving it a shot, but we'll see what happens. I would take Munguia in that one, though.
Vince Patel's in action next week, everybody, in Budapest. Woo! He's in against Julius Kisarawe. There's no title on the line, unfortunately, at the moment. Let's hope they put one on soon, Donny.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll find something. Don't worry.
Hopefully so. Andy, regarding Munguia against Smith, Munguia looks quite the character, quite the beast at that weight, doesn't he? Smashed through Saddam Ali. Is Smith going to be a bit of a litmus test? We're maybe going to see exactly what Munguia's got. Is he a hype job? Was the Ali fight a one-off? Is he really going to be a serious threat? Smith will pose him a few problems, if only stylistic problems with the high guard, and it'll be something that needs to be prized open.
I think he's going to feel it early. I read somewhere on Munguia maybe made comments about a week or two ago that he actually comes down as high for like 175. The guy's fucking massive for 154. Smith's not really got the pop to kind of keep him off him. I could see it. You could see him kind of trying to box, move, maybe try to jab, move, try and move about the ring. Maybe kind of offset Munguia, who maybe needs to plant his feet to kind of get his power shots off. But you can only do it for so long. I've said it before. If you've got a big dude fucking walking you down for say 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds at a time, and it's just mentally fatiguing, it just takes it right out of you. If you ain't got the power to turn it, you're going to be shit out of luck. I think he's going to take a bit of a beat down in this fight. I'm not wanting to kind of go and say that Munguia is like this beast and that, but at that weight he fucking is. We'll maybe see the best of him when he fills out about 160, maybe even highs 168 if he's actually if this big puncher. We'll find out when he goes up the weight divisions. But at that weight, he's a clear threat. Guys like Hard and Munguia, they're absolute beasts for the division. So I think Smith's going to have to try and maybe box, move, maybe hopefully can try and cut the guy, maybe kind of force it on stoppage by cuts and maybe win it on points or whatever. But he's in for a torrid night in my opinion. I think he's going to stop maybe about 8 or 9 rounds.
Yeah, we'll learn a lot about both fighters in this one, Gabe. Also on the undercard, Alberto Machado returns, defending his WBA World Super Featherweight title that he won against Jezreel Corrales. He was being outboxed against Corrales, really. I'm not sure what Machado's seeding is. I think he's quite basic. He's going in against Ghanaian favourite Rafael Sweet Pea Mensah. He has a record, if ever you've seen one, Gabe, 31-0, all built in Ghana with 23 knockouts. This ain't going to end too well, I wouldn't have thought. Tell me about Munguia Smith, though, Gabe. Do you think Munguia is going to blast through him, or do you think Liam's veteran smarts will see him at least the distance, possibly?
I don't know that it'll go the distance. I think Liam Smith's going to give him some fits here and there. But, you know, just the way the guy took Munguia took punches from who was his last fight? Dadgummit.
Saddam Ali.
Yeah, God, I couldn't think of it. Saddam Ali. I mean, you know, Saddam ain't a huge puncher, but he's solid, and he landed some real clock cleaning punches on that guy, and his head barely even moved. So I think the guy's huge, and I think that might come into effect in some ways. So I'm not going to predict that it's going to go the distance. I think Munguia will eventually get him out of there, but I think Smith's going to give him hell in a few spots, and so that's kind of what I'm seeing there on that fight is a young, strong, really big guy versus a guy that's going to have to use his smarts if he's going to win. Because physically, I don't think he's going to be able to do what he needs to do in terms of power and strength to stand up to the punches all night if he goes in with a full head of steam. So he's going to have to be smart, box smart, and try to avoid some of those big punches, which I don't think he's going to be able to do in the end. So that one to me is actually probably the interesting fight of the card. Yeah.
Munguia victory prediction there from Gabe Lewis. He's joining me, Andy, and Donny, and the official voice of American boxing, hater Dave Loback. We're going to come to you very shortly. Keep an eye out for Lamont Roach. I like the look of him. He's boxing in Mexico, super featherweight, undefeated in 17, 1 draw, 16 wins. This is an Oscar De La Hoya card. He's going in against Davey Julio Bassa. Also, Marlon Esparza's on the card, female boxing talent. Right, Dave, tell me about Munguia against Liam Smith. Do you think Munguia's the next big thing? What do you think about the tactics? What do you think Smith's tactics are going to be, Dave? I think he's going to shell up early and then try to come on late. What do you reckon?
Sorry, what was the question?
What do you think Liam Smith's tactics are going to be against Munguia? I think he's going to shell up early.
Yeah, naturally. I don't think it's going to work, though. I think he's going to punch right through his guard and he's going to get smashed. Sort of like what Canelo did, except it'll probably happen in less of a precise way, more of a volume way.
Curtis Stevens is back as well next week. He's fighting in the Dominican Republic. He's 29-6 now. He's going in against Carlos Hierro Cruz. Let's put all that to one side, Andy. There's only one fight that is of any interest to us. Let's look at the undercard, first of all, for the World Boxing Super Series final. Fedor Chudinov is going in against Najib Mohammadi. That could be a decent scrap. I don't know. Mohammadi tends to run, doesn't he? But Chudinov's not the greatest, so you never know. It could be decent. A couple of other names, Magomed Madiev, Andrei Sirotkin. Yeah, let's put all that to one side, shall we? There's only one fight of interest, Andy. That's Gassiev against Usyk. Usyk's 14-0. Gassiev's 26-0. IBF's on the line, WBA, WBC, WBO. All the belts, all the glory. Undisputed champ at cruiserweight will be crowned. I don't know who the IBO champ is at cruiserweight. I think it's someone maybe in South Africa. I joke. Is that right? I jest, Andy. I jest. Of course, we're not interested in the IBO. Come on, then. Who's going to win this one? Then it's going to be a fight for the ages, I think. How can this fail to be a brilliant fight?
Well, unless we get some shenanigans on the cards with being in Russia, and that, I know Usyk's a beast. He's been all over. The last 5-6 fights have all been on the road. Maybe a couple of less fights. All his defences have been on the road. I'm gutted. I was really looking forward to going to this fight, and in the end, landing in Russia, it was a nightmare trying to get visas and stuff like that for us. So for the knockout in the head, undercard does look pretty stacked. A couple of good fighters I'd like to have gone and seen personally. Likes of Celia Brackus, it'd be good to have seen her live. Magomed Madiev, Chudinov, Mohammadi might be decent considering the kind of level that they're at. Konstantin Ponomamarov, kind of welterweight guy, he's kicking around. Obviously, it'd be good to see Brevis again, but his opponents pulled out. But you know, I've been with Usyk for the start. The big problem is going to be is going to be the defence. Obviously, him being a southpaw, he's going to be obviously leading. Gassiev's going to be, leading probably with the left hook at times, and looking to work the body, try and whip it in behind the jab as well, or counter behind the jab. It's just got all the makings of a really good fight. Power, I would probably need to give it to Gassiev, even though Usyk's probably the bigger dude. If it comes down to work rate, you obviously got to give it to Usyk, but I just think over the counter as well, Gassiev's you've got to watch Gassiev's going to be very, very wary of him. But in the end, I just think maybe work rate, jab. I think Usyk might just nick it on the cards, and that's me being, maybe being a wee bit of a fanboy, believing that he's going to get a fair shake in Russia. If it's anything remotely close, I do think Gassiev will probably get it. But I'm sticking with my guns. When this tournament got a mention last year, we all got asked, who we believe is going to win it. I said Usyk. I'm sticking with him. But it's, the cruiserweight tournament. I'm glad to kind of see the final happening. It's been a long time coming. It's been almost a year since the tournament started. We've got the final that we probably wanted. We've had some great fights along the way. And this one is surely, hopefully, it's going to be the cherry on top. And it's going to be one for, as you say, Steve, one for the ages, one to go into the annals of cruiserweight history. And we'll get crowned the first lineal champion since David Hay, which would be, how long ago was that? About 10 years ago?
Yeah, so, 2008 maybe, something like that.
And there'll be a bit of history getting made as well. So I'm going to go Usyk, probably on points, but the gut instinct in me feels Gassiev will probably get it if it's anywhere short, close on it.
You paying for it, Andy, pay-per-view?
No, I've not used that ITV thing in the past before, so I don't think I could actually. Can you re-register or can you sign up for it?
No idea. I've never registered for anything.
I'll need to ask Dave Lee. If not, I'll just use my normal streaming site.
Yeah, I asked the question on Twitter. I didn't think there'd be that many sales, to be honest. I know a few people were not deriding me, but they were like, oh, I'm definitely going to be paying for it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how much that'll translate into sales. I mean, I'm looking in the chat here. Let me know if you're going to pay for it. Sleep99 says he's going for Usyk unanimous decision. MB says Gassiev stoppage. Interesting. Jason Chukwu, I think he's paying for it. Usyk split decision, says Jonathan Finch. I agree with that. I think Usyk's work rate, more than anything, will be the difference. I think Gassiev's cleaner, harder shots will be, the more quality work on the eye. But I think Usyk will maybe overwork him. And will Usyk get the decision in Russia, says Callum Frith, agreeing with you, Andy. Ukraine versus Russia. Yeah, the boys mostly. There's a bit of a split, actually.
You could actually see Gassiev kind of getting back, not backed up as such, but you know how he fought against Dortico, that he kind of, you say that he had the high hands, he backed off, kind of looking to counter. If he does that with Usyk, who, if he can actually roll under his left hook, as you say, Steve, he can outwork him, and it could be a plan that could backfire for Gassiev. If he's looking for Usyk to get tired, looking for the counter all night long, and he can't find it, what's the plan B?
Exactly. Dave, I don't know what you think about this one. Brady's definitely had his moments of success, didn't he, against Usyk? If you think that Gassiev is, I wouldn't say he's a level above Brady's. I think they're not too dissimilar in quality. Brady's pushed Usyk very close. If Gassiev can maintain what Brady's possibly wasn't able to towards the later rounds, although I do believe you might have even had Brady's winning the fight, then perhaps the blueprint is there to beat Usyk. What do you think, tactically speaking, Dave?
Yeah, I did have Brady's winning, although he set traps. I think he fought the majority. I only saw it once, and I do remember I had Brady's winning, but I seem to remember Brady's most of that fight was on the back foot, and Usyk was the one coming forward, firing in volume, and he walked into a fair amount of things, got wobbled a time or two. It was a good fight, but I don't see Gassiev as a guy who's really going to be on the back foot too much. It's certainly still an interesting fight, but if he beats Usyk, I don't think it's going to be in a similar style to what Brady's did to him. I think it's going to be more, because actually you're right about the possible blueprint being there, because Hunter, when he was giving Usyk problems, was using some of the same style. He was on the move, and he was walking Usyk into things. So I think he's vulnerable to vulnerable to movers who know how to set traps. Gassiev, I mean, he's just a monster. So I think anybody against him would be vulnerable. He's cleverer than he looks too. Like, he can set up some clever offense. but he doesn't really do it from the back foot. He does it from the front and does so very effectively and brutally. So this is definitely a good fight. Actually, I'm kind of leaning towards Gassiev right now just because he's such a murderer, and because Usyk did look somewhat vulnerable against Briedis. I just don't know if he's going to have the power that it takes to keep Gassiev at bay.
A lot of love for Gassiev in the chat, just doing the eye test, but I think the tipping point is probably just slightly towards Gassiev. The boys seem to be going with him anyway. I'm not convinced that Gassiev's 25 for a start. I'm not having that one bit. Gabe, do you agree with the chat? Do you think Gassiev can get the job done? If so, what type of game plan is he going to have to pull off next Saturday evening in Russia?
I don't know. This is a really close, really good fight.
Do you think he needs to hurt Usyk early and try and get his respect? Stop him from walking in so much?
I think so. I think that might be one of the best ways he can go about his business on the night. Because if he doesn't do something early, then it's going to be a long night. And I think the longer it goes in that style, obviously for him, the worse it's going to be. Because then we're going to be looking at a guy who's just looking for one big punch to turn the fight around. So I think that might be the best start to approach it, as if his opponent's coming forward, like you said. I that's the only way I can think of it, because I just don't think he's going to be able to outbox him. Like, I don't think he's going to be quick enough and be able to put together enough punches to really do the trick. So I think he's going to have to be landing big punches early, and maybe use a bit of counterpunching to do that. Because honestly, I just don't see him being able to do it moving forward straight off the bat.
Yeah, I erroneously said that Gassiev was 25. He's actually only 24. He's not 25 till October. I don't know where the box record got his birth certificate from, but I'm not having that he's 24. No chance in hell. Right, Donny, tell me, how are you going to get to see the fight? Which broadcasting outlet have picked it up in America, or are you going to have to go team stream? What's the story, Donny?
To be honest with you, I haven't really. What are the options for viewing in the States? Because none of this series has really been viewable unless you go on. You have to actually. I've gone on their website for a few of their fights, for a few of these Super Series fights. Do
you want me to FaceTime it, Donny, and put the phone up against the TV for you?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that would work.
Wait till Steve gets his next phone bill.
I think it's going to be streamed. I don't think there's any outlets for it. Like, they showed, I think one fight on DirecTV channel.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any outlets for it.
Yeah, so I think if you actually go to the World Boxing Super Series website, I think they'll actually show it there, and I guess that's what I'll be doing to watch. And in terms of the outcome, I mean, obviously it's a 50-50 fight, as we would hope it would be in the finals of a big tournament like this. If it's on fair cards, I tend to favor Usyk. I think that, especially if he could put a lot of rounds in the bank early with his movement, I mean, yes, I mean, certain fighters have given him trouble and things like that, but they haven't been fighters who really, I think, I don't know, I think his movement will do a lot. I think he's going to move a lot laterally, going to use his jab, and basically try to keep his distance from a guy that I think is capable of hurting him. And I think that if he just boxes and moves a lot, and he can keep that up for at least the early half of the fight, he could put rounds in the bank and make it difficult for Gassiev to come back and score a points victory at least. But Gassiev has some real power, and that will always be a relevant factor for all 12 rounds.
Okay, round table prediction then, so our listeners can hold us to it and dish out the L's next week. I'm going to say, Dave, before I ask you, Usyk on a split decision. What do you reckon, Dave? What's your prediction?
Gassiev unanimous decision.
Interesting. Donny, go ahead. Get those splinters out of your arse. Get off that fence. Who you reckon?
No, I'm taking Usyk. Usyk, if it's like I said, if the cards are on the up and up. Otherwise, I'll take Gassiev by corrupt decision.
Do you know who the judges are going to be, Donna?
No, I don't know.
It does know in the fucking panel.
I'm going to say, any hints, Donna?
No, I have no idea. I don't even know who they have slated to judge this one.
No Adelaide Bird then, Andy. What do you reckon?
Well, Adelaide Bird, I just saying, just hopefully get. Well, as I said, I think in the past these guys at the Super Series have been using ear defenders, so hopefully they maybe do it with the judges this time. There'll be no draw. Obviously, the fourth judge will come into effect, so we'll all get a winner one way or the other, whether we agree with it or not. But I'm going to stick firm. Usyk decision. How it happens, I really don't know. How wide, who knows? But I'm going to go Usyk decision.
Usyk decision for Andy. It's all resting on you then, Gabe. I think two of us have gone for Usyk. One has gone for Gassiev. What do you reckon, Gabriel?
I'm going Usyk. Unanimous decision.
Good stuff. There you go. Then three of us have gone Usyk. One's gone for Gassiev. You can come back in the chat next week and let us know how we got on. Like I said at the top, when I was talking to Andy, I think it's going to be an amazing fight, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And a good ending to the World Boxing Super Series, which I want to see succeed. I know a few people have come out now and they're like, oh, yeah, it's not going to work. It's been like the Super Six. I think it's been an innovative tournament, and it's had a few teething problems at the end towards the finals, which has been a shame. When we're going to see the super middleweight tournament final, we don't know, but hopefully it'll get put to bed, and this will really be the cherry on top for the cruiserweight, which has been excellent, and long may it continue, in my opinion. Let's get on to the value of the weeks. Just before we do so, remember, if you use iTunes and you can't wait for the download each week, then head on over to patreon.com/Boxing Asylum and sign up for the $5 package, where you get exclusive access to an iTunes feed where this show appears around an hour or so after it ends every Sunday, and also 2 extra pods a month that you won't hear anywhere else. That's the plug for that done.
Get it signed up, you lazy bastards.
Get signed up. Come on.
$5 a month.
£3.62 on the current exchange rates, Andy. You get the pod in there after it finishes tonight.
I want to see us hit 100 members before the end of the year. We're at 46 at the minute. Make it happen, people. $5 a month. That's all I ask for. And who knows, if you pay your $5, we could maybe up that content as well. Nice wee punches for the past episode getting drafted up at the minute. Me and Steve will be sorting that out shortly, but you're going to love this one.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. You're going to love the value of the weeks as well. Plenty of these because we were away last week, so I've carried over a few. Remember, if you want to hear the casuals, what the casuals have to say, going over to facebook.com/Boxing Asylum, and you'll find a very interesting nomination, a video that I put up today. I think you saw it, Andy. I'm putting it forward. Floyd Mayweather. I won't say too much, but Floyd, you think a man with his monetary means wouldn't need to be advertising triple glazing windows?
Oh, but he's going to appear. He's going to appear in a C.R. Smith advert at some point, isn't he? Double glazing windows.
Good old Floyd. Right, let's start off first of all. Billy Joe Saunders was getting involved in the World Cup. Rebecca Vardy apparently was going on about clueless fans, and Billy Joe Saunders jumped in and said, Rebecca, if your man gets the winner, blow him off like a queen after the game. Of course, that's England striker. Oh, God, it's gone out of my name. What's his first name, Vardy? Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy's wife. Billy Joe Saunders getting involved in some marital bliss there. Michael Buffer, apparently it's him tweeting, Pucking Frick doesn't agree. Michael Buffer was talking about the football as well. OMG, says Michael. Kane is being mugged like crazy. His goal has England up 1-0 with a lot of time to go. I love watching Maguire, says Buffer. Such a smart player. Great game so far. There is no chance in hell, Andy, that Buffer is tweeting from this account. It's complete bullshit.
Well, I did see that he tweeted a picture from Malaysia. Him and his wife were in some zoo or something like that. So who knows? I think maybe Eddie's obviously got the password to it as well. Like,
Buffer ain't sitting watching the frigging football. Talking of Eddie anyway, he said the deadline regarding the Joshua Wilder fight was called 7 weeks before their final 24-hour deadline. And Roy nominated Will, because Will said, you are an excellent businessman, Eddie. You could convince me that it's a good idea to bang my missus and I would believe you. Okay, well, fair enough. On that one, Callum Dickinson has got nominated from Jay Steele. Callum said, great interview on IFL TV with Spencer Fearon and Kugan Cassius. Spencer is like a boxing encyclopedia. Hashtag the knowledge. So I think he's not even the knowledge anymore. Look, Callum, you need to get out more. Now, this is a good one. Max Stoke has nominated Anthony Fowler. Now, I I'm not against CBD oil or anything like that. I happen to think it's fine. But why on earth is Anthony Fowler? Why? No, I haven't actually. Why on earth Anthony Fowler has got involved in this? I don't know. Fowler apparently was shown like vaping this stuff, and he said CBD oil is 100% legal and got so many proven health benefits as well as reducing anxiety. Blah blah blah. Use the discount code Fowler for 20% off on all products. I'd never share something with my followers I didn't personally believe in. Like I say, I'm not against discriminating against these things, growing plants if people want to use it, fair play. But why on earth, Andy, is Anthony Fowler endorsing this? I mean, it just reeks of a cash grab. Like, it's embarrassing, really.
So it is, mate. It's just he's a slut. You know, bend over, I'll take up the ass for X amount of money. No problem whatsoever. I mean, this was a guy who before the Olympics and that was actually, it was a bit like Riddick Bowe, wasn't it? He was charging for retweets, £5 here, and he was selling off like say, GB squad memorabilia and all that sort of shit. The guy is just well, obviously okay. I mean, they're not in it for the love of the sport; they're in it for the cash, obviously. End of the day, but the guy's just a fucking slut for the money. So it is, man.
Anthony Fowler is absolutely shameless. He would charge for absolutely anything. Right, patreon.com/Boxing Asylum, everybody. Let's move on. Papi Della Guru, that's our friend the Guru. I think he said, I'm off to sleep now, but before we pray to the footballing gods, safe passage to Brazil and France. It's football related from Tommy anyway. Greg Cross nominated him. Ben Thorns nominated the WBC Boxing World Cup of Boxing. Choose your winner. 52% voted for Canelo, 48% voted for Marvin Hagler. It's getting like this HBO GOAT tournament, which I believe the final is coming up between Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. Oh, they won their respective semi-finals, so that's coming up soon. I imagine Ali would win that.
How many have you listened to, Steve?
I've actually listened to the last two, to be honest, because I thought it was like when Nigel Collins was trying to rate them as if they were being whittled down to each other's size, which I thought was just completely ridiculous. But apparently what they're doing is they're rating each other's achievements and legacy against each other. So it's maybe not as ludicrous as I first thought. So I have listened to the last couple.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough. I've not listened to any of it, to be honest with you, so...
Yeah, I've reneged actually because it wasn't as bad as I thought. I think Collins got the wrong end of the stick, but they didn't have the heart to tell him. I mean, how can you say, if Joe Frazier went down to lightweight and fought against Pernell Whitaker, who would win? I mean, how could you work out those tangible differences? I mean, Frazier's a heavyweight and he won or lost fights based on the fact he was a heavyweight. It's just, you can't do those hypothetical things. It doesn't work.
It's just like, for example, when Fury was still heavyweight champ and that, pound for pound, who would win between Roman Gonzalez and Tyson Fury? I mean, it's a fucking non-starter, isn't it? I mean, Tyson would literally fucking volley him out the ring and they fucking lose head, man.
I've said it before, Tommy's dropped bigger shits that way more than Roman Gonzalez. I mean, it's just stupid.
Exactly.
Right, Michelle Joy Phelps was nominated by Silver BGO. She was apparently trying to tweet about England and getting the flags all wrong. Give it up, love. Kugan Cassius was nominated by Box Royalty for various comments made on their latest video. Martin Hurry has nominated Michael Benson. Happy to get on board with this. Frank Warren apparently called out Benson. Taking a little longer than originally anticipated, will be announced shortly. The Tyson Fury opponent Frank was talking about. Chill out. The weather's great and England are in a World Cup semi-final, says Frank. Life's too short to spend your whole life on the internet. Calling out the mighty Benson. Now, Benson's getting a lot of calls out lately. I think people are starting to cotton on to what he's all about. Sky Sports Boxing have got nominated by Sean Stevenson. Seize the day, Rocky Fielding, says Paul Smith Jr., head of the Tyrone Zeuge fight. Cannot let big fight pressure consume you, says Smith. How did his last shot go again, says Sean Stevenson? Fair point, Sean. Fair point. Rob Schneider, the actor, has been nominated by Box Royalty. Got caught out by the deluded Khan account. Max Stoke has nominated Anthony Ogogo for putting up a Support England, Come On The Boys video, and he incorporated a fake Cockney accent. Angel Garcia said he's not impressed by Lomachenko. I don't see what all the hype's about. Pitter Patter, says Angel, father of Danny Garcia. Tom O'Reilly has nominated Joe Gallagher. Joe Gallagher apparently has told Phil DJ he wants to make Vasyl Lomachenko versus Anthony Crolla at Manchester Arena. Yeah, good luck with that one. Boxing Brave has also nominated the same thing. Andy and David Farmer got together to nominate the PBC for the Fighters of the Week, Andy. We had Devon Alexander, followed by Peter Quillin, two stalwarts of the game who have been pretty regularly in action lately, not?
Back to back, mate. What was that? Quillin, I don't know. When the last time he fucking... It must be 2 years since he last fought.
I think he's had maybe a tune-up like a year ago or something, but he's due back again. He's washed up completely.
Fuck, I mean, who's it iced him? Was it Danny Jacobs?
Danny Jacobs in a round, yeah.
I mean, if Danny Jacobs doesn't do anything else in his career, I'll always be thankful for fucking knocking out fake white chocolate, like.
Yeah, good job. Floyd Mayweather, we mentioned at the top of the show. He was advertising Love Windows. Call 0800 644 4644, says Floyd. £299 per window, any size, fully fitted. Lovewindows.co.uk. Floyd's on board. I think he got about 20 grand. You know that, Andy? And it lasted about 30 seconds. So, I mean, suppose why wouldn't you? Like
20 grand. I mean, Floyd earned like $1 million per second when he fought Pacquiao, and he's fucking selling his hole for fucking 20 grand for Sierra Smith windows. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, actually, well, the thing is, when you get Love Windows, you see, it takes about 5 years for them to come around and actually install them.
Donnie, how much would it take for you?
Where the fuck are my windows? And he's like, we're letting them marinate.
Donnie, how much would it take for you to endorse the windows?
If you don't buy these windows, we'll come beat you in front of your kids.
I want to get you doing adverts, Donnie. What would your minimum price be to do an advert like Floyd's? What would they pay you?
Oh, my hole is for sale for at least just $1,000. You can go ahead.
$1,000? Fair play, Donnie. You've got some good self-worth there. I thought you would have done it for like $200. Fair play. Right, okay, and the final one I have, Ernest Gabion was talking about potential Pacquiao fights against the greats at 147. Tito said Ernest Gabion. Mike Coppinger jumped in and said Pacquiao would have knocked Tito out at 147. And Chad Hogan nominated the great Coppinger for that comment. Right, Andy, did you have any to throw in?
I've not got any, mate, but I would like to vote for... I'm going to go for Joe Gallagher, actually.
For saying about Vasyl Lomachenko and Crawler at Manchester Arena?
I mean, Crawler, we've said it before, he's a nice dude, not sort of stuff, but Lomachenko would absolutely butcher him. Absolutely, it would be an assault. The cops would need, it would be like 19, like by the time when Jack Johnson fought fucking Tommy Burns in Australia, they would need to get the police in to stop that fucking fight. But a savage beatdown. Crawler would never be the same fighter again.
What about, just out of interest, Andy, the Pacquiao Tito Trinidad one for Coppinger? Do you think that Pacquiao would knock?
No, never. I mean, Tito at 140, 147 was a fucking monster.
He's a monster, wasn't he?
Absolute monster. Nobody's knocking him out at 147. I mean,
I think Pacquiao would give him fits, though. The movement would really mess with him.
If we're talking peak for peak in that, but I just think, Pacquiao being a southpaw and that, he was always open for left hooks, right hands as well, especially when he was darting in. So, if Tito caught you with that left hook, it was generally speaking, man, it was lights out. But Pacquiao always showed a good beard. I don't know. He's certainly no ice in Tito. Like, no 147. Absolute no chance.
Winky gave him fits, didn't he? But that was at the end of his career up at 154, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I think. I'm trying to remember when Tito washed out.
Tito's an overrated bum.
Well, see, but he was really pushing it up the middleweight. Okay, maybe the Jobbie fight might have flattered him a wee bit, but Hopkins took him to school, and that's the reason why Dave hates him, because Hopkins absolutely fucking decimated him.
No. That wouldn't make me hate him. Like, if he beat Hopkins, maybe that would make me hate him. But no, I've never liked the guy since he got that and celebrated it like it was an actual win.
Dave, who are you going for? We've lost Gabe, unfortunately. He's disappeared. Who are you going for Bellew of the Week?
I don't even remember which the best ones were.
We had Floyd, we had Coppinger, we had Joe Gallagher, we had Billy Joe Saunders. Quite a few, actually.
Oh, Billy Joe's a good one. Actually, yeah, I didn't see the interview, but I got a summary of it from in the chat, and yeah, I'll go with Billy Joe.
What about you, Donnie? Who's getting your vital vote this week? The crowd on tenterhooks?
I got to go for Floyd, man. I thought that was funny. When I first saw it, I thought that was fucking fake. I really did.
Should we have a listen, Donnie? Should we have a listen to it?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, put it on.
Top Windows presents triple glazed windows, only $299 each. Hi, I'm Floyd Mayweather. Call Love Windows right now. 0800-644-4644. Love Windows presents triple glazed windows, only $299 each. Any size, fully fitted, and 15-year guarantee. Call Love Windows right now at 0800-644-4644. Remember, call right now.
Is he doing a favor for somebody? Or
I'm actually trying to count how many windows I've got in my house now. So I've got, let's say that's 2, 4, 8 windows.
Call that number right now and just ask how they got him.
Ben Faruqi, a technical genius on the pod, was telling me that apparently Floyd turned up at some kebab house in Bradford or something called, I think it was Mr. T's, at like 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a big Ferrari outside and people were trying to get the autograph and everything. So he'd turn up at the opening of a frigging envelope, Andy.
Oh, it was just a bit like Sting, mate, when all the big disasters would happen, that he would turn up to the open of a fridge, that cunt, you know.
Right, I think we'll go for Floyd, shall we? Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
his greatest victory since his last Bellew of the Week victory, when he was looking like a Neapolitan ice cream.
Was that was the last Bellew of the Week Floyd won was the red hat, I believe.
Yeah.
That was a classic.
In fact, I was certain when Steve said, "Shall we have a listen?" he was going to play that. I'm a gorilla.
I'm a gorilla. Yeah, I haven't got that one unfortunately today, Dave. We'll save that for next week. All right, let's get out of here, boys. That's enough. Thanks for joining us in the chat. We do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who listens every week on iTunes, on YouTube, what have you. Don't forget to hit subscribe and let those platforms know that you enjoy listening to us. We shall be back next week. Andy Patterson was on tonight. Donny Baseball, Dave the Hater Lowback, and Gabe Lewis. We'll hopefully stir up some more bodies next week, maybe even the Guru, maybe Kurt Ward, who knows. We'll try and resurrect his body. The greatest comeback since Lazarus. I've been Steve Wellings. Catch you all again next week. Thanks for listening.